Hey guys, this is Lax, and welcome to my second League of Legends commentary. As you can see, I'm playing as Teemo again. I like Teemo, and I'd like to talk about his new changes in the recent Halloween patch. Let's just go over the patch notes first. Base speed has been increased from 300 to 305. Base damage reduced from 51.3 to 47.5. And the damage per level has also been decreased from 3.3 to 3.0. Overall, okay. I'm not too keen on the base damage reduction, obviously. However, this is really compensated by the fact that they have decreased the time it takes for his passive, the camouflage, to become active from 3 seconds to 2 seconds, and that is a big change in my opinion. It means that as Teemo you can play the assassin a lot more frequently than you would do normally. You can hide better if people are chasing you and you know they don't have oracles, and basically just become more of a nuisance, especially mid-game where you are running around. You can place a mushroom, camouflage right on top of it and wait for someone to run over it, and then you just unleash all your skills and all hell onto the person and hope they die. What else do we have? We have the duration of the blinding dart has been reduced. I think overall they've decreased the actual oh god, sorry, I'm trying to watch this as well. They've decreased the overall points that it increases from 0.5 to 0.25, so it's not too bad. The cooldown has also been decreased from 10 to 8 seconds. That to me that doesn't really make too much of a difference for the way I play Teemo. Obviously, an extra blinding dart is handy in a team fight. However, for that to make much of a difference, it's going to have to last around, I don't know, 20 seconds more for you to have your third blinding dart. More often than not, I usually only have time for 2 in a team fight, so not too big a deal. I think people who play AP Teemo more often would like that buff more so than I would. But yeah, I think it compensates a little bit from the blind duration. And yes, now the next interesting patch note to look at is the toxic shot. That's his poison, his E ability. You always have this active whenever you level it up, and for me is the first ability I always try and max out. But I always put a point and quick move as well before level 6, just for the extra escape capability. So yes, the toxic shot overall damage tick per second has been reduced. For roughly 2, 4, 6 increments. It's not too bad really. However, this has been compensated, and in my opinion, this makes his toxic shot a little bit more lethal. The toxic shot on hit damage has been increased by 3. We got 3, 4, 6, something like that. I'm not really looking at the patch notes that much, but basically the increase of the toxic shot ability on hit compared to the decrease of the tick per second is more in favor of Teemo dealing more damage straight off the bat, and that's fine by me. Also, this would also cater more towards people who build straight pure AP Teemo builds, and that's fine as well. Overall, a pretty decent buff, I think. They can't obviously have kept the per tick damage as the same, and also increased the on hit damage as well, because people will scream OP, even though I don't know how much of a difference that will actually make in a big team fight, unless you're stacking pure AP. And then we come to the biggest change in Teemo, the rework as they like to call it. his mushrooms. So instead of you having a nice big cooldown on your mushrooms and placing one every 30 minus seconds, you can now store up to 3 mushrooms at a time, and provided you have enough mana, because it also costs mana to cast them, let's not forget about that, you can cast 3 mushrooms in theory in 3 seconds. Now that is, no, not 3 seconds, I lie. There is a 1 second cooldown between cast. So 3 mushrooms in 6 seconds. Yeah. Watch me get extremely lucky here. Yeah, 5 HP, lovely. Now this drastically changes Teemo's map presence as such. It means that you can have more mushrooms on the map at once, and it also gives you a little bit more utility when it comes to your team fights. It means that you can lay mushrooms down. You can store up your mushrooms and lay them down as you approach to a tower, or vice versa. As you're retreating, you can cover your retreat as well. Mushroom placement I'm not going to really talk about too much in this commentary. However, I have found that bushes are an obvious thing when you're playing as Teemo, and as such people usually avoid bushes when they're chasing a Teemo player. So, as I said, I wouldn't talk about it, so, and I am funny about that. So instead, what I like to do, little tip for you guys, is to place the mushrooms just outside a bush where you'd normally put the mushrooms. Of course you can have one in there as well, but that means that people, especially if they're chasing you and they see you run into the bush, chances are they'll know that you have a mushroom there. So you can just, if you have one outside the bush and they run around it, try and kill you, they'll still get hit by it. And that's a nice little trick to use every now and then in your game. Anyway, back to the mushrooms. When you die, you gain an extra 2 mushrooms on respawn, which is also very handy. It means you can start planting mushrooms right away. So yes, I have found that since the patch I have had almost double the mushrooms around the map than I normally would do, and that is just simply awesome. So yes, and that's basically his slight tweak and rework since the new Halloween patch. What do I think about it? As I said, I like it. I really do. I think it gives him a little bit more utility in team fights. It means that AP Teemos can do a lot more damage per tick, especially with the increase in upfront damage increase with his toxic shot. However, I'm still not certain as to the viability of a full AP Teemo build. I've seen people build him slightly DPS heavy with maybe a Nash's Tooth for the extra DPS and AP. Now that's not too bad. However, I still think that to really play Teemo properly, you need to not die like that. No, you need to you need to really not rely on your AP solely, and also not solely rely on your attack damage. And again, I've mentioned this before. This is because as a ranged DPS, your job is to obviously hit the enemy. However, if you are going DPS heavy, you really negate many of Teemo's advantages, especially with his toxic shot, blinding shot, and his mushrooms. Conversely, if you go in pure AP, with the recent buffs, it makes it slightly more viable. It means you do slightly more damage in a team fight, because the toxic shot is affected by AP, and especially since the increase in upfront tick damage, that makes them slightly more viable, especially for a very high attack speed. But you can't really rely on that too much, because if you build Teemo one way or the other, chances are people are going to clock onto the fact like, oh, there's a team on the other team and he has an amplifying tome at level 1. That immediately clicks to me that, oh, he's going full AP, fine. will just stack magic resist and completely negate the fact that completely negate most of his abilities. At which point, if you're playing AP Teemo, you are buggered, because then you don't do any damage at all. Conversely, if you're going full DPS, like as you would do with Ashe, for example, people just buy Thorn Mail, stack on the armor, and once again, they reduce your damage significantly, almost to the point where it doesn't really matter if you hit them or not, because your toxic shot will do that much damage anyway. So that's why I like to build Hybrid Teemo. If you are playing Hybrid Teemo and people start stacking one either armor or magic resist, you can always still rely on your attack damage or AP, whichever one they're stacking conversely, to do the damage. Of course, they can negate this fact if they stack both magic resist and armor, but let's face it, not everyone will do that. In fact, most people won't do that unless they are a full-on tank, like I don't know, a Mordekaiser, for example, where if I play Mordekaiser, I like to stack both magic resist, and armor. So basically, you are going to be dealing damage regardless of who you're fighting against, unless it's a full-on tank. And let's face it, you're not going to be attacking the tank unless he's the only person left alive anyway. So that's okay. So yeah, so I'm just watching my video here as well. I've decided this time to record the video first, and then record the